you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed in attaining all and that which is your need? To be heard by the real answerer of all deeds, the true hearer of all whom pleads. Who of you really want to bow down to the true King of Kings commanding the crown? To worship the one that ever rules alone, commanding everything of creation from the seat of its throne.
Those that are still present here with us, we're going to continue on this conversation. Holy Queen was saying how she got caught up in the...
Yeah, I got real caught up. And it happens, especially to women. I don't know about men. I can't speak for men. But it happened. You go to work, they get flowers.
It happens to men too.
You know, it happens to men, but in a different way. You know, women getting flowers, people coming by making the big things about their flowers or whatever they receiving. Oh, your man must really love you, blah, 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 blah. You know, then they come and they talk about their vacation, how they was snorkeling with the fish. And I'm serious. And then you be like, wow, you know, before you know it, and I'm just telling you this because it's real. And we sometimes ignore it, and then we like, how did I get to this point? Yeah. And you be like, wow, I live a boring life. It's so shallow. It's so this and that. So many people make a big importance about going on vacation. I mean, going away, flying, going to these tropical islands and everything. It all stemmed from working environments. Trust and believe, you know, and people go and they act like they had the most fabulous time. But, you know, I lived to learn from my experience of being in the working place where, do I have to go that far to have a good time with my husband? If I had to go that far to have a good time with my husband, then I married the wrong man. You understand what I'm saying? Do I need these roses and everything to feel like I'm appreciated? You know what I'm saying? If so, then it's something wrong with me and my self-esteem and my relationship. You know, understand what I'm saying? With myself more so than with a spouse. There's a lot of things we have to look at that drives us to do things. And, you know, you start doing it and then you have to ask yourself, well, what is this really doing for me? Because it's just like taking a bottle of wine, sitting up drinking it with your homies, and when you finish, you feeling all good, talking all this mess, and then the next day you come back to being yourself again. That's the same thing. It's a get high. It's a temporary fix. So instead of temporary fixing it, fix whatever you need to fix so that you can find what you need to have without violating what Ahezaah has sent down. Because that's what we do. We violate the animals. We go into their house uninvited, then we want to know why they eat us up. You know, we go places we ain't supposed to go. I wouldn't come in your house and open your door to your house without you telling me to do so. We need to have that same mindset when it comes to other creative things that Allah put down here for us. You know, Ahezaah said, eat of the good things I have provided for you. It didn't say go eat up every damn thing that's in the world. Excuse the curse. Damn, ain't a curse, though. But you understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of violating we do, and we bring a lot of stuff on ourselves that's just really we could avoid if we just learn how to have respect.
You know, just to sum up what you were saying, because the people need to hear the wisdom and the lesson that you learned about the flowers you never told them.
Oh,
that I was creating a garden in front of my house and then on the side of my home for her. She can't go out. She's allergic to certain types of vegetation. So I said, I'm going to create this nice garden for you. And I told her, I mean, like came all at one time, you just let them know that you got a garden. I'm not going to kill no roses to send down there to make you feel bad. And then things would wither away in a couple of days. You know, there's your roses right there. You want to admire them. They're going to be there this year. They're going to come back next year. They're going to keep on coming back until Allah don't bring them back no more. You know, forget about that. And this other thing I want to venture into is people forget why vacationing even came into being.
Yeah.
You see, just like the priests and ministers and preachers and popes and all of them imitate the prophets, those people, the common folks, imitate the prophets. The prophets, men of mind, the enlightened, they used to need to vacate their premises from their family and so-called friends and community to get away to think. Now it's been turned into the vacate to go have fun.
Yeah.
And they can't, and it's like chasing peace and they can't catch it. That's why so many of them have to keep going on vacations, and they become very mean and very capitalistic. They got to become greedy to get that money so they can keep doing those things to try to find peace, and they keep running from them.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I used to get in the thought as Holy Queen was speaking about how they do their thing, like escapism.
It is
their
escapism.
realities of the everyday, the mundane,
It is.
and
You
what's
can
going on in the
do
world.
that.
But escapism without usefulness, such as like how the prophets would do those for a purpose.
Well, like she said, if I have to go so far away to have a good time with my husband, I'm with the wrong man. I remember I used to tell her, don't lose your thought, how I used to travel to different countries in my mind. And I was just as content. I would go into the astral realm. But I was more content sitting back contemplating because I knew that the Lord wanted me to see some things so it could give me some wisdom. So I was vacating my premises while I was still there. You understand? That's what we need to understand. Go ahead.
And how, one thing I used to do with you, going to the escapism thing, how, like the Holy Queen was mentioning how, when I used to tear down the veils and all those things, that the illusion that people get trapped in, like she said, the flowers get, but see, my man treat me right, like he give me, like he love. Your love was always there, but it's in our perception how it's given or it's received from each other.
She was young.
And she was young. And the same with people that go on vacation, they trying to escape, whether they're humdrum lives or thinking the illusion that I'm going away to somewhere better,
because
a better place.
They
told them,
picture
and they spend all this money, put themselves many times in debt. People don't mention all those things. They spend money. They start planning trips in advance years just to take this week or two, all this money.
And then they come back and they concerned about all the money they done spent.
You know, it's a thing that you know.
It's just like gambling.
Yeah.
And another thing is, Ahezaah is just so awesome and merciful and funny to me. Was the whole thing with the flower? I learned about evolution.
Yeah.
So I gained much more than that box coming to work and me showing it off to everybody.
Had not you took that word, you would have learned nothing but more idiocy.
Right.
From your own
She might have been the judgment going back and saying, see, he don't love me because he ain't send me this. The judgment.
And she'd have missed the beautiful message.
Right.
You know? I heard a story once about a guy was riding on a donkey out in Arabia, man, and he fell off the donkey, you know? And he was in a caravan, and they had left him, and they came back and said, what's going on? Why you didn't get up and get on the donkey and keep going? He said, I've been down here trying to figure out where did I read that at in the Holy Quran.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I found that you were telling me.
Wait a minute, I'm lost.
See, a lot of people, see, that's a Sufi story, and a lot of people will get lost from that. But see, he based his whole life on the Holy Quran, and he was so deep involved in his relationship with the Lord that so many things came out that he's seen in the Holy Quran that just wasn't plainly written.
Right.
That he knew that it was there somewhere in the Holy Quran that he fell off that donkey.
Right.
But see, the thing is, he had thought something wrong, was doing something wrong, so Allah caused him to lose his balance and fall off the donkey. That's where he read it at. You know, he didn't stay firm in his way.
Right.
He didn't stay faithful in his way, so he fell off the donkey.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I like, wait a minute.
He sat back instead of jumping back on the donkey. He stayed. He said, "What's going on? Why you ain't?" He said, "I'm trying to figure out, you know, where I read that at in the Quran." You know.
Like what the message was saying before, and we started the conversation how with things befall us from the Lord, and trip forward, little things say, oh Allah, okay, you trying to back to what you trying to show me.
Right.
See, here's the whole. This is the whole thing. The thing. If you don't accept Allah as your guide, as your savior, as your reality, you know, as the reality of the Christ that Jesus went into, that I went into, that Muhammad went into, and all the prophets that became enlightened went into. Because the Christ is nothing more than the pure light of truth. And truth is the one that will break you and crush you and make you and turn and give you new life. You understand? If you can't accept that of Allah, then you don't understand the intricate conversations that when it tells you something that don't make sense, it makes sense of it.
Right.
You see? So if you don't have that relationship, you could be looking at the Quran, the Bible, everything, and nothing makes sense. I could come and tell you something and it won't make sense. Just like when I read that story, it made sense immediately to me because of my relationship with Allah.
Right.
And it said, oh, boom, boom, boom. And I said, wow. And I kept that story. But because it's a complicated story, I don't just go throw that out on anybody because they was like, this guy out of his mind, man. Let me tell you the story he told me. You know?
Yeah, you run with that.
It don't make sense.
Yeah.
But it makes all sense. It's just like people say, well, I can't get with the Holy Quran because it contradicts itself. And it don't contradict itself at all. But you have to have a relationship with the Lord to understand, okay, you saying this, so what do you mean? Because there's always some explanation for what it says. It don't waste anything. There's explanations. It's not going to just give you everything to go and look. I got people running around and trying to steal my writings and mix their words with my writings and claim my writings as their writings, and those things belong to Allah. What do you think men was doing with the Holy Quran? If they could master it, the devil could master it, then it would master it. So instead, and because they can't, they go in and they change things.
Yeah.
They change them up. Well, I can't just say this means that. Let me just change it. Like when Allah said, say you,
Right.
you and Allah is one and the same. They said, say he is Allah.
Yeah.
And the Arabs know that that's a false translation. And they know that they was trying to keep what Moses brought separated from what Isa and Muhammad brought. They don't want you to know that Hu was essence and that Moses was saying Yahoo. Yahoo, he was talking about the who or the hue of the essence of Ahezaah.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know that that's what Allah was talking about of himself being of Jehovah. They don't want you to know that because then you connect with their enemies. Those whom they consider their enemies. And they did what the people of the book before them did. They took the Torah and tried to hold it for themselves to beat people. If they even got Bible stories talking about this thing was to save their people.
Right.
I'm talking about the Hebrews.
Yeah.
And as long as they had it, they could rule over everybody else. Allah didn't give that to them to rule over everybody else. It gave them that for them to uphold its beauty, its word, its wisdom. And spread that through the world.
And
To make the world
right.
eaten
Mm-hmm.
in a peaceful manner.
You know, Holy-Apostle saying, Ahezaah gave me a thought as he was speaking how soon as Ahezaah sent it down to Moses, the commandments, the Torah to them, it caused them to lose it immediately twice between the captivity, twice through slavery. Lost it. And then when Ezra come about trying to be put back together that which was missing. But Allah give us signs all the time those things that they take, like Allah said in the Quran. Anything which is called to be taken out, abrogated, we put something back better. And so when Allah said the time when Jesus came on the scene, he said Allah is putting back something that it took from y'all for your rebelliousness, and it's putting it back. Same thing with Muhammad came. Much of what you have lost, Allah was reminding them through the Quran about. They said, hey, wait a minute, our books say that. They even, but the world today, because they want to keep this animosity, this adversity going, they don't connect. You being a universal message probably for this day and time, connecting the dots for people who are looking for the connection.
They're not going to listen to that. They're not going to believe you on that. You know, because look at the people in our vicinity. He just one of us. He grew up around us, man. That guy called himself that? How did Allah come to him? I don't see Allah with him. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, let's look at this. Let's look at this thing. They try to disconnect the prophets. They try to disconnect Moses from Jesus. They said, oh Allah, the Hebrews, oh Allah, give us a sign. He said, I will give you a sign in time to come. They gave Jesus the miracle birth of Mary, right? That's right. They said, that she's a whore, prostitute. She ain't right, you know, and Joseph ain't right. And, you know, had that baby out of wedlock and this, that, and the other. You understand? What Allah did was what Allah did. And it does what it wanted to do. Now, when they said she was a virgin, you know, not necessarily from what I understand, not necessarily not touch her. Joseph could have been married.
Right.
Under certain conditions. When they pulled them straws, that could have been something that had happened before.
Right.
You understand? But when the message came to her as a virgin, they said at one time, virgin, here go the devil language. Virgin meant not one who was untouched, but one who was a young woman.
Right.
Virgin meant young. You see?
Right.
And nowadays, it's just like they say, oh, Jesus was a homosexual.
Right.
So what the hell are you talking about? Well, he loved Peter or he loved John. What you talking about? Well, you know what love means.
Yeah.
Not what you talking about.
Twisting the language again.
Yes.
Twisting the language.
Twisting the language. And they're going to hell for it.
Man.
You understand? Now, they told the people of Jesus, okay, you don't want to believe this, but, you know, I know things is all riled up, but I'm going to send you a comforter.
That's right.
Huh? And they gave him the name Ahmed, you know?
That's right.
And then when Muhammad came, they said, we don't believe in him, but his book is like, you know, a mirror in our book.
Right.
And the Hebrews said, the Jews said, who had become Judaized, said, well, you're the one we've been looking for.
That's right.
And he went to them, and they delivered him.
Sure enough there.
Now, the Arabs want to take away who from Yahuwah
Right.
and disconnect it.
Disconnect.
And they don't even want to tell that that Allah sent Muhammad and the Holy Quran to the Jews,
That's right.
the Hebrews,
To the Hebrew.
and his family,
His family, right.
because Muhammad comes out of them.
That's right.
You know, send it to his family, and then they separated again. Now you get the Arabs
Yeah.
calling themselves Muslims, and they won't even correct the people in the world to tell them that Muslim is everything.
Right.
But they let them think that they are certain separate people called Muslim.
And the Lord just shoot it at them right in the first chapter.
They do.
Yeah.
Then about
You
you does.
believe, you know, but if you don't uphold this covenant, you know, and they think they upholding the covenant.
Yeah.
We ain't upholding the
You
covenant.
know,
We
not
ain't-
when you add
It
something
said,
to it.
be of your forefathers, those before you.
Right.
Yeah.
The ways of your forefathers. And that's how everybody repeated
He
themselves
was saying that they
up
they
to this
become
time.
overwhelmed with their arrogance, is where that many of them don't care anymore. They think that such as
You know-
put Ahezaah behind.
Mhm.
They were lost. So they're in front, just like. Yeah.
You know, I when I sent my works to Arabia and Africa and China and different places in the East, and they was sent, you know, the word came back from the various mosques, you know, masjids. How did he know these things? Do he speak Arabic? How can he know this? Who he say he is? And then they couldn't say anything
Right.
because they know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? The sad part about it is they should be happy. I don't know Arabic.
Right.
The little that Allah has given me, and I have to have faith and believe that this is what it is, because it said this is saying this, and I said that's what that's saying, and write it down. Wow, I have to have faith, and then here it comes. They have to. Well, if you don't know Arabic, how you know this?
You know, it's funny because
The question is, you know Arabic, how you allowing this to
That's
go
what-
out around the world in falsehood?
it's almost like a weed choking them. Because once I either brought that forth to them, they said, "Oh,
Yeah.
call them to the." She
Mhm.
says, "Oh, now we're accountable.
Mm-hmm.
We called this, but now we're gonna be the do and cover it up now.
Mhm.
Don't nobody get this word or
Mhm.
put it out there to people. When it should have been a freeing someone out there that's not from amongst us. Allah's given His word to of His truth.
Yeah.
Praise be to it. Only one brother that's I recognize that was in the nation, that brother Captain who accepted. So praise
Yeah,
Allah
you
for
see
what
they
and
did
they
to
accept
him.
and they moving him out and
shot
somewhere else
him out
now.
in D.C. But
Oh,
the
is it?
thing
Okay.
about it, but look what Warif Deen and Farrakhan did when I
Joined
sent him
together.
that joint letter, and then the next week here they come running. We're together. We always been together. They was setting up thinking I was coming after them. So they gonna join forces to shoot me down, not knowing they gonna be trying to shoot Allah down. You understand? Because this truth that I'm speaking, it hasn't changed. Huh? Many brothers who came trying to change me and trying to break me, they got changed and broke. But the truth is the truth. No matter what age you tell, I speak the same truth that Akhenaten was speaking when he was calling Allah Aten. Now, how many thousands of years ago was that? Huh? Same truth. The truth ain't gonna change, but that lie, that falsehood that people put out there, that's gonna get broken and buried.
Yeah.
All the time. See, the devil looks like it's winning right now. The devil always look like it's winning in the last days. That's when Allah let the devil run rampages or rampageously through the land. You know? And people thinking the devil when the devil is losing and they lose. The devil's a loser. The devil's always a loser. Like Ahezaah said, the devil was stuck in hell. The devil can't. Nobody ain't met the devil up here. They meet the cohorts of the devil. Huh? They can be taken down to see the devil. They can see visions of the devil, but they ain't. The devil's stuck in hell on his throne. The lowest throne that is. Living in hell, wishing it could come out. And the only ones that come out is its cohorts.
Right.
That live in us. And other things. To try to create that havoc, that evil. Ahezaah got order with them devils that's in disorder. There's order in that disorder. Because Ahezaah keeps order. El keeps order throughout his universes. You know? And if you don't understand that, then that's because you're not enlightened by Ahezaah to recognize the truth of things, you know?
Yeah, it's like when they say the science is always talking about this thing is in chaos, but it's an order even in the
It's
chaos.
It's order in that chaos.
Right. And anytime the scientists come across what they symbols of order, they run from it, they try to dismiss it. It's a grand mistake. They don't want to face order. They don't believe it.
Yeah.
They don't want the world to
I know.
If it's not ordered, then that means Ahezaah don't have his hands on it. Its power on it. You see, Ahezaah's guiding everything as it wills. That's order. It's keeping its order. You know?
I think about the two verses at least Ahezaah sticking in our mind in this moment. And it's one of the Holy Apostle verse they use a lot to indicate something from Ahezaah. When Allah said in chapter 40:35 that Allah was send a message even in the time of Joseph. We're not seeing the messages. And the other verse Allah is giving a thing about right now, the one that said in chapter 23, Al-Furqan, that said they have disregarded this Quran. Now Allah left that. It's only one time it's in that Allah have it in there.
Yeah.
They have other disregarded this book, the book of law and order that you sent down, and that was taught to the Muslims.
Yeah.
You know,
Because
they disregarded it. Now they
had some disregarding it even in the
it
time
was coming down.
while
Right.
it was coming down.
You know, but like I said, if they don't go into the book for themselves, like Holy Queen always speak about and make it personal, then they'll never get the blessing from Ahezaah to give of his understanding how it's relative to you, and all the time that book is being opened and read to, or you looking into, it's always referring to you. As the other side of that coin being the disbeliever, the doubter, the naysayer, or that they're not to be that one that we think we are, the believer, this and that, and this. No.
Well, that's what you wanted. You taught us the description of how many religions there are, how many paths there are.
Right.
If there are 6 billion people in the world, 6 billion, So going back to the truth, every person, success, that's that personal relationship that they have with their Lord, whether they accept it, acknowledge it, or not. And therefore they'll be judged ultimately in that acceptance or non-acceptance of that. You know?
That's what makes Ahezaah all-knowing. You know, it's in every experience that is of everything. You know, but Ahezaah said something real beautiful to me because you know I've been going through a change every now and then. I feel a little something on the negative side, and I thought about the Divine Book of Recitation. I said, boy, wrote that book. You gave me that book so many years ago. And we haven't got that book out. And I was thinking, it just gave me a picture set. If you was to get the book out too early, what do you think would happen? You know, because the people are yet to recognize this day of revelation and recognize that they need the messenger. They need Allah. They're yet to recognize it, because things still have to come down. We had a 9 point something on Chile today.
Yeah,
you know,
the earthquake.
You know, and what it said to me, be at peace and remember this is mine, not yours. Just in case. I'll make sure it gets to where it needs to be when I desire for it to be there.
I used to dig any word. Maybe it's around, I don't know. You told us, Ahezaah, that the Quran is the book for now. The Bible was a chaser for the book after the world's been
Yeah, I told you that a long time ago when it was first coming
out. That it's for the once world to take. Now you need the book for
Thanks
new
for
law and
that
order,
reminder.
for establishing it for the time to come.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But I use it for now.
Oh, it's now. Yes, now.
Is that all the words of what is coming from the one source?
Yes.
Of the
Yeah,
But you got so many people, man, that don't understand that in the first chapter, the first commandment in the book, is the divine book of recitation, is for us to protect the Arabic Quran.
That's right. The honored book, right.
To protect that, to take it. How many Muslims is trying to protect? How many Arabs, excuse me, and Pakistanis and Afghanistanis and or Afghans and people over there in the East,
Yeah.
you know, that speak that Arabic language? How many of them are actually trying to protect that book? You know, they looking at countries like Pakistan, who was a leader in Islam,
Right.
in the literary sense.
That's right.
And they allowed them to bring all these different things out. I remember something like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it came to me that people were beginning to change the Quran in one of those countries. I think it was either India or Pakistan, but I'm not sure.
Right.
But they had started to change it, take certain things out so they wouldn't offend the Jews, and putting certain things in and stuff like. You remember that?
Mhm.
You know? And I said,
the blue-eyed thing started
and
getting confused.
and that's when the blue-eyed thing
Right.
started getting confused. And then they try to make a fool out of Elijah Muhammad and Farrakhan and say, where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at?
Right.
It's right there in the attic.
It's in the attic.
You know? But my thing with Farrakhan is, you so smart. Why you ain't got somebody speaking Arabic, translating that thing, bringing that thing right out like that?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just being up there yelling about it, why you don't, you know?
Well, he don't even yell no more. His voice done got light, cause he.
He, like other people, he trusts himself. He trusts that he's himself.
And he's always trying to go wherever the wind would go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and even that means not stepping on people's feet too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Allah pegged him, who he pegged Warif, and said that they were the worst of the enemies of our people, and from among our people at the attack prophet.
Yeah. I'm trying to say he's considered a messenger, a false messenger to the people, you know.
By Ahezaah, by the angels.
Allah. Yeah. I think of the messengers, and I know there was one string we were talking about judgment, and it's striking in Quran. It clearly says, make no distinction between the messengers. Yeah, and make no distinction between Ahezaah and his name Allah. Make no distinction between Ahezaah and the messengers, you know. So if you, as you encounter a messenger, you have to know you're encountering the word of the Lord of all worlds. You know, you have to seek to be of the humility. You got to seek to be of a whole, to be able to be in position to accept it.
You got one field, but let me just say this just real quick. Let me just clarify something you just said. It said make no distinction between the messengers, and it said obey Allah and obey his messengers. And what it was saying, what was not so much said, but it said is that they are the voices and the pens. It said they're the pens of Allah. They're the signs of Allah. So it's like you listening to them, you listening to Allah. You know, and make no distinction because everything about them is from it and not themselves. You know.
We're going to close out this program. Thank you for choosing I Have Moment. The young man goes,
Who of you want to do things right? To keep up with keeping your lives tight. Tight as in being right with the truth of true insight. Who of you want to do things right? Who of you want to truly succeed?